Hello, hello. I want to welcome all of you to another hour of Some of the Stuff it's hard to find anywhere else except right here on this radio station and this radio show, the Universal Consciousness Show. We try to entertain you, we educate, we open your mind, and we stretch your mind, and sometimes we just plain and simple blow your mind away, and we're going to do that today, I guarantee you. And my name is Aage, and I'm one of the hosts, and Diana, my co-host, is over in Germany. Are you there, Diana?
I am here. Hello, everyone.
Hi there. Yeah, but first, for those of you that like to listen to this show again and find it in the archives, you can look at the website www.universal-consciousness-show.com. And we are on YouTube under Universal Consciousness Show, and please subscribe. That'll really help us a lot. And we're also on Facebook under me and Universal Consciousness Show and several other places, and Twitter and so on, and wherever the station puts us, which is just about everywhere, so you should be able to find it. And also, as always, keep a pen and a paper really close by, because today you're going to find that there are some things that you may want to write down, because the guest, we're going to spill some pearls of wisdom here, and you need to know and remember these things. See, we have Dr. Darrell Wolfe, PhD, with us, and he is a doctor of natural medicine and a doctor of humanitarian services. And he has 36 years of experience in natural medicine. And he is also a medical intuitive and a certified with a board of I can't pronounce that word, integrative medicine, I think it is. Dr. Wolfe is also a professor and the director of the prestigious International Training Institute of Health, which teaches new breakthroughs and cures and treatments we don't normally see in the hospitals. He also lectures and volunteers at many institutions, including the Canadian College of Humanitarian Medicine, and he's a speaker at several health summits and documentaries, including the now very famous and acclaimed The Truth About Cancer and The Truth About Detox. And for The Truth About Cancer alone, I heard on a TV talk show, there was a clip on it on YouTube, they said that particular The Truth About Cancer had been shown to over 100 million people globally. So if you have not seen one of those, come out from under the rock where you're living and step outside of the box, because that's where the solutions are. And I also must mention that he wrote a best-selling book, Healthy to 100. And he's the director and creator of Doc Star Productions, which hosts weekly TV shows on health and wellness. At his Doc of Detox Oasis and retreat in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, he teaches and shows people how to take charge of their health with cures instead of just treatments alone. And also his real passion is awakening the mind, which is the best healer of all. And I'm sorry I had to cut this bio short, otherwise I'll be talking for another 20 minutes, and we can't do that. We got to hear from him. So welcome to the show, Dr. Wolfe.
Thank you so much, Aage and Diana. It's an honor to be on your show. I've heard so much of it, and I've followed it. And it's shows like yours that really helps to get the word out and allows people to understand that they need to start searching for their authentic selves.
Hello, Dr. Darrell, and thank you so much for being here today. Just for the beginning, for those listeners who doesn't know you yet, could you please start by telling us why did you choose the natural medicine above the allopathic one? How did it all begin?
Well, okay. It all started when I was around 17 years old. I mean, I always questioned things even when I was a child. Even when I was a child, I was raised a Christian, and just there was so many confusing things that, my parents would tell me and things I would learn. They would say one thing and do another thing, or, there was everything just seemed to be really upside down and backwards. And then, I was forced to accept a lot of things by the time I was around 12, 13. And then that's when we always rebel, right? When we become a teenager, we're rebelling because that's when our spirit is getting snuffed out. So, but by the time I was 17, my grandfather got colon cancer, and it was just me and my mother. And I knew nothing about colon cancer. I knew nothing about cancer. And he came to live with us. And what we grew to realize was I had a wake-up call, just about his lifestyle and the way he lived. On a physical and an emotional level, it really got me thinking. I was 17 years old at this point. And I really realized that his bitterness, his anger, also the 4 to 6 beers a day, and things that there's always a whiplash effect. There's a boomerang effect, we'll call it. And I started really thinking about that. But really got me wondering was when he came to live with us, he was in very bad pain, body pain everywhere. So they're telling him that the cancer spread everywhere. So then we went to the doctor. They said that it started off as colon cancer and that it spread everywhere. So we took him to the hospital. And when we went there, the problem is the hospital were giving him tons of drugs. And when you're on drugs, the best way to actually put somebody who's sick over the edge is to give them drugs, because then you kill the motility in the intestines. So then you cause severe constipation. And seeing that the large intestine is 80% of your immune system, the best way to end their life short is to kill the good bacteria and create the dehydration so they can't poop. So anyways, he hadn't pooped for 10 days in the hospital, and they were giving him all kinds of laxatives. And my mother knew, and we all knew about the enema bag. So we proceeded to get him out of the hospital because he was just in severe pain, brought him home, and we basically had to go in and get rid of the impaction. And I'll tell you, that's not a pretty sight. And then we had to then start doing enemas on him. And I'd never done an enema in my life or an enema on anyone else. So that's what you call the life learning. So anyways, after that all happened, and I can tell you right now, we reduced his pain just by getting him to have bowel movements by probably 95%. And that's not an exaggeration, because the large intestine is the holy grail of your body. It is 80% of your immune system. So anyway, so we could see the big relief there. So that had a big impact on me. So basically that summer, I basically packed a pup tent and I hitchhiked to Gary, Indiana from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. And I hitchhiked to Gary, Indiana, where then I proceeded to go and become a certified colon therapist. That's where the story starts, but there's a lot more pieces to it. But that was a wake-up call for me. And I always wanted to do something amazing. And as a child, I always wanted to be a hero of some sort. So I thought maybe that was the first step of being a hero, was getting the cork out of everybody's butt. I don't know.
Yeah, but listening to that, my question was, though, something that simple. Didn't the doctors at the hospital know?
Well, okay, first of all, you have to be taught something to know something.
Yeah.
So understand that doctors are not taught about health. The biggest thing is that we should never, ever blame the doctors, even though they're the third leading cause of death in this country. We cannot blame them for that, because we have to understand that we have lived in total ignorance of ourselves. Doctors are not taught anything about health. The only thing they're taught about is about drugs and medication and how far you can push it so that you don't push somebody over the cliff and kill them. So that's the reality. So you have to understand that, anybody that actually goes to a medical doctor and thinks they're going to a doctor in their mind, a health doctor, whoever said that, they don't even say they're health doctors. We call it healthcare, but the reason why it's called healthcare is because the pharmaceutical companies control everything. They're going to call it healthcare. I mean, when's the last time that really, if you really thought about this, Aage, that healthcare is taking toxic drugs? The drugs that they prescribe are more toxic than some of the street drugs. You do know that, right?
Yeah.
Some of the street drugs are a lot less harmful than the drugs that we can get from our doctor. So we need to understand something, that we cannot blame doctors, because, Aage, if you decide to go to a school that doesn't teach something, then you can't become something. There's no health about it. And the biggest problem here, if you don't mind, if I can just take a minute, is over 100 years ago, back in 1910, the AMA, was almost going bankrupt. And that's when medical doctors were really just coming to be. So we were the primary, herbalists, acupuncturists, chiropractors, naturopaths. We were the primary. Doctors were actually called quacks, and they were the alternative. What happened is that the Rockefellers, with the Rothschilds and with the Carnegies, they got $100 million and gave it to the AMA and told the AMA, look, you don't have to go bankrupt. You just have to close down 110 colleges and universities in Canada and North America and basically do a college university burning. And if you do that, we guarantee that the AMA will become the greatest, most powerful health association in the world, and you will never be without money again. So in 10 years, they were able to close down every college, every university that did not sell the Rockefellers, Carnegies drugs. That's it right there. So now we have an upheaval, and it's like anything else. Burn the books, crush the schools, so then we all become fools. So over the next 100 years, we become all drug addicts. So we're all, when it comes to our healthcare, we're drug addicts. When it comes to our foods now, because we've been brainwashed so much that we will actually eat foods that are GMO, toxic, and have poisons. Come on. The population will drink fluoride and chlorine, which are one of the two main cancer causers, and then they'll shower in it. And in a 10-minute shower, you will take in, as if you drank 10 glasses of tap water into your bloodstream and into your lymph system. So you see, what people think they know, they don't know. And what they think they do know, they don't know. So, they have been lied to so severely that I tell everyone that when they come here for their personal treatment and training, you're just going to have to let go. Don't throw the things I tell you in the garbage, but put them on the side, on the shelf. So when you've talked to your subconscious enough that it's willing to accept new ideas, it's there for you. Because the thing is our subconscious rules everything. Why do you think that even when a doctor finds out that he's the third leading cause of death and that chemotherapy has a 2.23 success rate, I mean, would you get into an investment that had only 2.23 chance of making you any money? Well, that's what doing chemo is. Okay, so the reality is that our subconscious rules us, because it's 90% of our brain, and we're actually walking around robots. And if you haven't taken the time to erase and replace your belief systems and creating and designing the authentic you, then you're everybody else, and you're everybody else's puppet.
Man, oh man.
So here we come to the point where we can talk about our own power. I heard you talking in YouTube about giving our power away. And I wanted to ask you, what exactly do you mean by our own power, and how do we know that we are no longer possessing our own power? We gave our power away. How do we take it back, and where does the power goes?
Well, that is a really, everybody is hoping that we'll give this Band-Aid answer that will just save the whole world and then we'll all go to heaven. So, but I will tell you that that's a really great question, and I'll do my best, okay? First of all, Diana, do you have any guilt about anything?
Yes, of course.
Well, then there you go. Then you don't have any power. You've lost your power.
Everyone has guilt.
No, I don't.
Okay, then you are the exception.
Yeah, maybe most people do, but those that is somewhat awakened, we can take that. We can take and get rid of that guilt.
Well, for one thing, here's the deal. Tell me the last time that guilt served a purpose for you, Diana. Let's start there. Now, I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat. It's just that I want to see if we can get there quicker. And a lot of people that are listening to this show right now think that I'm going to be condemned and go to hell. Or they think that I'm coming up against the one of society's main beliefs. Well, maybe I am, but it doesn't make it right, Diana. It doesn't make it right that just because the majority is doing something does not make it right. Because if that was true, then why is it that we are becoming extinct? Why is it that 80% of the population has autoimmune disease? Why is it that one out of every 4 children now have a chronic illness? Why is it that 80% of the population are obese or overweight? Why is it that 10% of the children in high school are obese? Why is it that heart disease is the main killer? Well, the heart disease is the main killer because we haven't learned how to love ourselves, and our heart is breaking every day. Our heart gets broken because we've been taught to find love outside ourselves. And so we run around with an empty gas tank. If our children don't say they love us, if we don't get enough hugs from our spouses, if somebody doesn't tell us we're amazing, then guess what? We're left empty. Listen to me. If love was the answer, Diana, the whole world would be fixed by now. But in the universe, love is the answer. But on planet Earth, self-love is the only cure. Because until you're selfish enough to know your needs, and until you realize that get to the point that you never have to forgive yourself for anything you've done or anything you're going to do. Because Diana, have you always tried to do your best with the information that you have?
In the last time, yes, but I was in the past I was very ill, and then I healed myself by changing my emotion.
We are not talking about illness. I'm saying throughout your life since you've been a child, have you always tried to do your best?
Yes.
Then why should you be guilty, Diana? Because you know why you should be guilty? Because you were living to someone else's rules. Let me tell you something. I don't ever remember being here before. So if I fall down, I'm going to fall forward. If I fall 100 times today, that's normal. The only failure is when you decide to fall backwards and not get back up. Look, don't expect me to perfect something unless I can do it 10,000 times. Yeah. And along the way, I'm going to make mistakes. My mother, God love her, and I mean God love her, she became an alcoholic because my father could only talk about wanting to be with Jesus. So he became very, very, very religious, and he would go on about, I can't wait to be with Jesus. And he didn't know how to love his children. God loved him too. And then my mother felt that she would not be loved. And then I find out later, the same person we just talked about, my grandfather with the colon cancer that she helped, he raped her when she was 12, and she was still trying to get him into her life. Now, my mother, her whole life was full of guilt, and she was full of guilt, and she was made to feel unworthy. So she had no value. So she turned to alcohol, to turn to sugar, to try to stimulate, to become someone else, because it wasn't good enough to be her. Because why would her father rape her? Why would her husband not continually show her love and wanting to leave the earth and go to be with Jesus? So Jesus, I would be so filled with guilt in my lifetime if I thought I was responsible for everybody's happiness and responsible for doing everything perfect all the time. So yeah. I want you to understand something. Guilt is a poison, and it holds everyone back. You cannot grow. And the only way that you can grow on this planet is through what? Is being self-aware and growing consciously. And that is the only way we grow. Look, I believe that when we come down here, we're pure of spirit. We know that. We are light energy beings. Look at, we already know that. Scientifically speaking, look at me right now. Take a look at the chair you're sitting in. Take a look at the wall. Take a look at the floor. Take a look at your food. It's all made out of particles. Those particles are 99.4% empty space. That empty space is the light energy frequency. And in reality, that's what we truly are. This physical bit, this body, only makes up 0.6. So what we need to understand is we are light energy frequency. So whatever you feel about yourself, you're going to create frequencies, and those frequencies are going to allow you to grow, allow you to love yourself and move forward. But as long as you judge yourself, then that means you need to go to what? You need to go to subconscious jail. Now, did you ever notice, Diana, that somebody could do something and another person could do something? Like, let's say, do you have a sister or brother, and something happens? Well, your brother, he goes and gets a glass of alcohol right away because he's got to drown his sorrows. Your sister, she needs to go for a 10-mile marathon and run really hard because she's going to beat herself up because she can't take control of something. And then you might just get connected to your breath and breathe in 6 seconds, 7 seconds out, put a slight smile on your face and make sure that you really get centered in your heart, and then say, can I take action? And if I can't, I'm not going to have a reaction. So understand that on this planet, we have been brainwashed that suffering is the way, and it is not the way. If somebody's sick and has cancer in the family, and there was 10 people in the family, whoever suffers the most because that person has cancer is the person that loves the most for most families. So understand, we need to stop the family curse. Now, Diana, how much guilt should you have for each thing? You've decided that by how you were raised. And I'm telling you, so somebody might punish themselves for an hour, somebody for a day, somebody for a year, and somebody for a lifetime for the same issue. So who's right and who's wrong? I'll tell you who's right. The person who didn't punish themselves at all and say, what can I learn from this? And how can I become the light for my family that's still suffering?
And I would add something really quick to that, and that would be the one that is able to forgive himself for what he may have done.
That's right. And guess what? The sooner you can forgive yourself and learn the lesson, the less dis-ease you're going to have. And the other thing is, you need to learn, okay, here's my oath, my Braveheart oath. Today and every day, I will trust, honor, respect, protect, and totally forgive and love myself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else on this planet. Because I can. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying, yes, we must totally forgive ourselves, but you should not have to forgive other people. And if you do, you could get into trouble. You need to accept other people, because what if you forgive them and they keep on doing the same thing over and over again, which they will until they learn how to suffer enough and change, or work on erasing and replacing their beliefs. So we need to accept people for who they are, because not everybody's going to change. Hardly people change because they don't work on loving themselves. So if you do forgive someone and they don't change, what are you going to do? Swallow the anger?
Yeah. Of course, my saying to this would be, I can forgive, but I don't have to forget. So if somebody wrongs me, then I may select not to do anything with them anymore, but I can still love them from a distance, basically have nothing to do with them.
And you know what? You're honoring them and you're honoring yourself. That is living in honor. You know, You'll always find that if you totally learn how to love yourself, honor yourself, you are honoring the other person, because anybody can be grumpy anywhere with anyone, anyone, you need to find the vibe you want. If you're going to test yourself and take on low vibrational food, drink, people, situations, then know that you're going to spend your time trying to pull yourself back up again. Okay. So that's how it is, oh my gosh, there's my mother-in-law again, or my mother, or my brother, or whoever. And then, you know what? I really don't want to take the call, but then you take the call and then you feel really bad. The call's over and now you deal with that for the whole day.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, we've always, all of us have had those calls. And when we take it and we talk to those people, then we feel bad afterwards for some reason. And why take the call in the first place? Maybe not.
Well, it's as simple as this, when you eat something and it makes you sick, you shouldn't keep eating it.
Yeah.
But we do that, right? So you have to understand something. We'll keep taking the call until we create a belief within inside ourselves that allows ourselves not to punish ourselves at that level. And that's really what it is. And people that have never really studied what self-love is will have a trouble with some of the things that I'm talking about. And they're supposed to, because your subconscious is 90% of you. And your subconscious only has really one job, and that is just to create fear with anything that's new. Even if it's going to heal you or save your life, your subconscious is still going to try to block you from it, because your subconscious is not logical. Your subconscious says, until you repeat this 10,000 times with intention and passion and desire, I am not going to let this come in. So it'll start off as a cow path, and the more that you keep on repeating it, then it'll become it'll become a sidewalk. Then it'll become a 1-lane highway. Then it'll become a 2-lane highway. Then it'll become a freeway. And then the freeway, that was the negative belief, will downsize to a 2-lane highway, 1-lane highway, to a sidewalk, to a cow path. And it will take a back seat. And the only reason why you now have a greater, brighter life is because you took the time to learn that life is a rehearsal, and what you repeat the most you become. We need to understand that with our brain in our life, we see everything in images. First, we see the image. The image then creates a thought. The thought then creates a feeling. And now I'm going to say, how do you feel? So every thought creates a feeling. That feeling creates a frequency. That frequency will trigger the brain to either release healing hormones and chemicals or destructive ones. And if they're destructive, then what's going to happen is those destructive ones will then cause inflammation, pain, swelling, then scar tissue, and then it'll cause fibroids, arthritis, colitis, and it goes on and on. Every physical pain in the body is scar tissue caused from inflammation. And if you continue on repeating in your mind the same trauma and reliving it, the same conflict or anxiety, and you keep doing it, then you will cause damage in the brain, inflammation, which will then cause mutation somewhere in an organ or a part of the body that relates to the emotion that you have not processed properly.
But Dr. Darrell, according to the neuroscience, we have around 60 to 70 thoughts a day, and we are aware only about 2,000 of them. So that means, how can I control the unconscious thought that I'm not aware about?
Okay, first of all, we have 90,000 thoughts a day, and 70,000 are repeated. 20,000 could be new thoughts, okay? But 70,000 are the repetition ones. And the chances of about 70% of those being negative are really, really high, okay? Yeah. Now, understand something. It's not even important to try to figure out what those thoughts are trying to go into your subconscious, because you're never going to do it. You're never going to figure those things out, because we already know that by the time you were 2, you already picked up most of the debilitating thoughts that are still with you today. So what we're not trying to do is we are trying to go in and remember something. The brain is the hardware. The beliefs are the software. and we can erase and replace the software. And the way we do it is I've done it, and I've done it on hundreds of thousands of people, is by using what I call my 12 loving steps. These are simple steps that even an 8-year-old child can do. They're fun, and they're fun, because if it's not fun, it's not going to get done. I do not believe in going in and doing dumpster diving and going into the past and try to dig up through the garbage, because we don't need to do that. What we want to do is we want a self-loving process that go in and will rewrite history so that it becomes empowering. So that's what we need to do, is rewrite history so that we can have a brilliant, powerful present. Because here's the situation. You cannot live in 2 time zones at once, meaning live in the present and live in the past at the same time. And the only place that you can heal is in the present. And I'll tell you where you get sick. You get sick by worrying about the future and having guilt about the past. And that's where you get sick, and that's where all sickness lies. Listen, when it comes right down to it, I'm not changing my mind. I've been studying this for 37 years, and I've been studying it every day. Every day I do at least an hour to 2 hours of new research. And I will tell you, I'm not out to try to convince the majority of the population to embrace what I'm talking about. That's not going to happen. I am out to awaken those people are ready to be awakened and know that they deserve total love, because they were created by total love, and that which actually created them is not sitting in judgment of them. And that is a made-up story, and everybody's allowed to keep their judgment story and send themselves to hell or wherever they want to go, or create suffering for themselves. But I will tell you one thing right now, I am not buying into it. I've seen how it damages families, how it causes people to become alcoholics, drug addicts, how it causes people to create suicide in their life, okay, how it creates divorces, how it creates physical and emotional abuse, and I'm not buying it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing, that psychiatry is taking the wrong turn, because they always seems to go back and dig up the stuff so you can understand it and then deal with it. When it's down there, it's down there. You can lay on top of it more powerful thoughts that will drown them out, and digging up the past, I don't think is the path to go.
God loved them, but psychiatrists are brainwashed. They're going in there to cause anxiety, frustration, and guilt, which causes people to feel worse, which means Doc, you got to give me something to totally numb out my brain, because I cannot even think about who I am because I'm so dirty and I don't even want to be alive. So just numb me out, Doc. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That is, if there was a sin, there it is. And I don't believe in sin, because if you look in the dictionary, it says you're missing the mark. Let me tell you something. I don't know how many people have come down to this planet, but they've all come down with good intentions. And then they've had parents that adulterated them. And you know what? Okay, first of all, every parent is adulterated. They all love their children. They all do their best. But until you totally love yourself completely, first and foremost, before anyone else, then you are damaging other people. And that's it. I'm not expecting anybody listening today to accept this, because if you did, that means that you must have been doing your work already. And most people are never taught, because guess what? To actually spend time with yourself and wanting to get to know yourself. You know what? What do people say? You're so selfish. What are people saying? They're saying, you live my life. Don't you live your life. And then what's the other one? You're so self-centered. Well, I'm telling you, till you decide to center into yourself, you will never know the true you and what I would call what God truly feels like and looks like. Because it is only beautiful and it only loves you.
Let's take a quick break here and then hold a thought on that, and then we'll be back in about 3 minutes or so. We got to pay some bills, so we'll be back shortly with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we're talking with Dr. Darrell. So we'll talk to you soon.
Available now, Troll Spray. Do you have problems with trolls? Do you constantly find yourself turning on the light of truth and find they come out of the woodwork after you? Give your trolls a quick squirt of Troll Spray and you'll be amazed at how quickly they flee. Troll Spray has been tested on all of the different types of trolls, shills, false prophets, doomsayers, sock puppets, and of course, those ever fearsome hostile radio show hosts. It works on them all. Get Troll Spray today, available only at L&M Radio Network. Spray the trolls away with Troll Spray.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Great fear and trembling shall seize them, even to the ends of the earth. The earth shall be hurt, and all things which are in it perish, while judgment shall come upon all, even upon all the righteous. Behold, he comes with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon them and destroy the wicked. Yet as God has appointed, so are all things brought to pass. No peace shall be to you.
Do you think social media is the end-all be-all? Do you live and breathe by Facebook and other platforms? Do you spend hours and hours endlessly going through posts by alleged friends in an endless quest to have a life? You need Fake Away, available exclusively through the L&M Radio Network. Our crack scientific teams have worked tirelessly to perfect this product and have made it available to you through this limited offer. Fake Away can solve the problems suffered by you and many others. It can help you understand you have been snowed by the fake media, the social media biases you encounter every time you click refresh, and even help your hair grow by keeping you from pulling it out over the smallest offenses. Get Fake Away today, only through L&M Radio Network. Fake Away is not for shills, disinfo agents, lovers of politicians who keep screwing the country, constant end-of-the-world predictors, liars, hostile radio show hosts, or snowflakes.
Okay, we are back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and so is Dr. Darrell. And We were talking before the break about loving ourselves. And that's the one that is so hard to, it's not necessarily hard to do, but it's hard to understand why we should even do it, because education and the media and everybody, they tell you, oh, you got it, let's do it for the children. And all these things that is fed to us with the big spoon. And we don't understand that we are in our life. If we cannot love ourselves, we cannot love other people either. And we got to love ourselves in order to be able to take care of others. Same thing, economics. If we can't take care of ourselves, we cannot take care of others either. So it's kind of turned backwards on us. This is something that, where, I guess there's money in it, isn't it? Is that was the cause of all this, that turning it backwards on us? Because there's no money in the solutions. There's only money in the problem. Isn't that right?
I think on the surface it looks like it's money, but it's not. I'm going to answer that, but if I can go back just a little bit and say this, that when you're actually participating in the art of self-love, then guess what? I got news for everybody out there. That is for the children. If we don't participate in the art of self-love, and that means that we need to really release the feminine, because the male masculinity is destroying the world. If we don't release the feminine part, the nurturer, the person that cares for people, but we have to care for ourselves first. You know, if you don't know your own needs and you don't fulfill those, you can't fulfill it for others. So understand that self-love is going to actually guarantee that the world will exist and it will be a beautiful place for our children, as far as that goes. And as far as you say it's about money, on the surface, you're right, Aage, it's about money. But behind the curtain, it's not about money. It's about ants. It's about allowing negative thoughts, and all we are is ants. You know, I'm going to tell you, there are a few families that have been in control for hundreds of years. I don't want to get into the whole conspiracy thing, but they control. You know, when you've got one family with one bank account and it's $185 million, okay? And then when you hear that your country has given like $2 billion to some country like Afghanistan to do something, when we've got people that are starving on the streets and down the street in our own country, you need to understand this, that there's bigger players here. But that, I don't know if that's ever going to change, because, you know, remember what I said? We give our power away every day. All we need is 30% of the population to totally love themselves. Because if you totally loved yourself, you wouldn't be dishonoring yourself, which means you wouldn't be taking prescription drugs. You wouldn't be buying GMO foods. You wouldn't be an alcoholic or even drinking alcohol, because it's a pure sugar that actually stimulates the brain, that causes cancer and inflammation in the body crazy. Because you wouldn't need alcohol. You wouldn't need marijuana. You wouldn't need all the other things to stimulate you to become someone else or to become happy. I can tell you, take me to any party and I will be one of the most fun people to be with at the party, and it will be water and lemon, because I don't take anything personal and I don't need anybody's approval to have fun or to release my inner child, even though I'm 62 years old. You know what? I will always be a child, and I will always have fun. And to have fun, we're going to get the job done. And understand that as far as there are going to be poverty and people starving, well, there always has been that. Man has been at war with himself since the very beginning of this planet. And I don't think that's ever going to change, because that's the name of the Earth game. You know, Earth is the planet of blood, sweat, and fears. And you know what? The only time you're going to experience total health, total love, and total peace is when you go inside.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. But let me run something by you. In 1931, Dr. Warburg got the Nobel Prize for discovering that no anaerobic bacteria or virus can live in a heavy oxygenated and alkaline environment. With other words, if we oxygenate the blood gets everywhere and it'll kill off viruses. Why is this not known in the medical industry if it wasn't for the fact that there is no money in cures.
Well, we need to go back to the same thing, and I don't want to get into it too heavy, okay? I'm just going to give some people a little bit to think about, okay? Take a look at the pharmacy companies like Bayer. They were involved in the First and Second World War, and they helped to create the war. And that's a big statement, isn't it? But we'll buy Bayer aspirin today. And Bayer, I just heard, bought Monsanto. So now we've got our Bayer that's supposed to be our health, one of our main health corporations. But remember, corporations have no blood. They have no beating heart. They just have a bottom line. So the reality is here is that when we even go to talk about how Dr. Otto Warburg got the Nobel Peace Prize for discovering that if oxygen goes down less than, I think it's 30% for an extended period of time, then the cell must mutate and live off of fermented sugars because there's not enough oxygen. Well, we can talk about that, Aage, but guess what? What we need to do is we need to, what I need to do, I'm not telling anybody what to do. What I've done is turn my back on anything that does not vibrate at the level of love, because I'm not going to feed that to myself. And you can understand that the medical system, we can talk about them. We can talk about how bad they are or what they're not doing, but they're not a health system. You know, it's like saying, I don't understand it. I keep going to my dry cleaners and I tell him that I want to buy meat. And your dry cleaner's going, I don't sell meat. So for us to even think that that's going to happen, because you have to understand that this is about selling drugs. It's about getting you to work like a slave until you're 50. Mm-hmm. And as you come on to 50, you start getting really sick. So all the money that you're saving up and you're working hard for, then you lose your health because you've been brainwashed to just eat all this terrible stuff and think terribly about yourself and the world. And then what happens is you lose your health, so now you lose your money. So what they did was they set you up so you lose your health and spend all your money before you come to the end. All right? So it's just a game.
That's a good plan. I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that one. But, yeah, for let's say somebody sitting out there now listening to this.
Hello? Aage, are you there? Okay, we've lost him. I also have a question. Is it true that behind every behavioral disorder, there is a hidden conflict and bad emotion?
Well, behind every behavioral disorder, behind every behavioral disorder is a self-hate, self-destruct belief. Yeah. Now, behind every disease is conflict or trauma being repeated. And the longer and the more intense the conflict or the anxiety or the trauma, the more symptoms you're going to have, and the longer it's going to take for you to get well. So go in with rage. I don't know why you do this to me. And you do that, just go ahead and do that for a few days and watch how much you've just destroyed your nervous system. And you have, because what have you done? If you've done it intense, and the longer you do it, the frequency triggers the chemist, which is the brain, to continually dump out adrenaline and other hormones and chemicals and create acidity that creates your inflammation, your swelling, your pain, your scar tissue formation, and your mutation. And the longer and the stronger you hold this, the more pain you're going to have, and the longer and stronger the longer it's going to take for you to heal. Now, if you could awaken to the fact that you are created by total love and that you can let yourself off the hook, and the thing is we make it all up. Diana, the last time you went through a huge crisis, I guarantee you that your mind and your subconscious embellished it and made it 10 times worse. unless you did 3, 2, 1, I got this. Because when you starting to go into anxiety or conflict or trauma, and I've been wearing this is called a Love Band, Life Band, and it's just a hairband. And if you go downstairs into my clinic, you'll see I have a bowl with a couple hundred, because instead of candy, all my patients and get these. So I've been wearing this for years. Nobody ever asked me what it is. And soon as I start feeling anxious, any fear, I'll go 3, 2, 1, I got this. I love myself. And I'll say it out loud if I can. And if I can't, I'll say it to myself if I'm in public. But if you go 3, 2, 1 and you count backwards, guess what? Your subconscious can't count backwards. So that anxiety and fear, that within a split second, if you don't catch it before it gets into your subconscious, you're going to start to run a program of hate. If you can go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, I got this. And we call this the Braveheart countdown. Okay. So if you can do that, that's going to bring it into your conscious mind. And guess what? You're not going to go into that program. Now, if you repeat that continually, you're going to keep yourself out of anxiety, because what happens? Do you remember, Diana, throughout your life, you had a really great idea and then you hesitated with it? Yes. Well, that hesitation caused you not to move on your destiny. Okay. And that was just your subconscious saying, guess what? I'm 90% of your brain, Diana, and I'm not going to let you have this new belief because it's foreign. I know that this guy might be the love of your life, or this might be the business deal of your life, or this might even save your mother or your father, but I'm not going to let you do it because it's too new and you're not showing enough passion and you haven't repeated it enough. So as soon as you start to feel a little bit of hesitation, if you were to go 3, 2, 1, I got this, look at, you know what I call this, Diana? A love band, life band. And you don't want to know something? When you hug somebody, you release what? You release oxytocin. You release what? Serotonin. Okay. Yeah. You release all these chemicals of love and healing. So this is called a hug, right? And this is called a kiss when I do this. So I'm kissing and hugging myself, and just even my eyes seeing this band, if I were to go reach something, it's saying, you got this, Darrell.
A hug is good medicine.
So here's the deal. Unless you're willing to actually take personal action with self-loving steps throughout your day, how will you ever have the perfect day? Unless you want to create the perfect day on an emotional and physical level, then just get ready for more bumps and twists and turns. You better buckle up, baby.
Yeah, a hug is good medicine, because when you hug someone, it releases the frequency of love, and love is light. And love is not just light, it's an energy. And the body reacts to the energy.
And when you hug, if you hug, you should hug heart to heart. Everybody does it the wrong way. You want to make sure your heart is touching the other person's heart, and you'll see that even when you go to do it, people will force and try not to do it. Because why? Because everybody's heart is hurt, because everybody was letting everybody else fill it up, but nobody was filling it up, so that we know love hurts. Why do you think there's more heart attacks and more people rush to the hospital for heart problems and angina than anything else? Why do you think it's the main leading killer in this planet? Is because we're not heart smart and we won't allow ourselves to self-love. And when you do a hug, if you do it for more than 20 seconds, you've just created what we call a healing. But it must be more than 20 seconds. So remember that. So you must hug, and never ever break the hug until you feel that your heart is melted. And if you feel you want to argue with someone or yell at someone, and guess what? What do couples do? They henpeck. They have the same fights all the time. From now on, if you feel like you're going to have a squabble, come together, keep your mouth shut, and open your heart. Come together and hug, and then don't break the hug until you can feel their soul within yours. And I promise you, when you move away to look at each other, you'll go, there's absolutely nothing to talk about. You're just beautiful, honey.
Boy, that'd be the solution, wouldn't it? Hey, when people want to start out to take charge of their own health and welfare, mental welfare, what would be some of the first things they should really consider doing?
Well, if you don't mind me saying this, they should go to braveheartlibrary.com, where I've put up some audios so that they can stick their toe in and start to understand what that is. I've also got up there what's called the perfect day, which shows them the perfect nutritional program throughout the day to give them some tips to get started. Mm-hmm. I also have the first part of I have a Braveheart online training course that's complete. It's the most complete course, I think, in the world. But I put up a part of the booklet so that they could get started and see what that feels like. And then I also have what's called Scar Tissue to a Tumor and Inflammation to Scar Tissue, 2 booklets, so that they understand that they do have the power on a physical and emotional level to take back their life. And if they don't want to call us, they don't have to. But most people will end up calling us and taking the Braveheart online course, or they'll actually take one of our whole life coaching courses for 6 days, or the Wolfe Deep Tissue, or they'll come here with their whole family. Like right now, I have a gentleman here that came because he actually had brain seizures, and we had to work on his brain with the Wolfe Deep Tissue, because I don't care what the problem is, what the scar tissue is, and every physical problem in the body is scar tissue. We have a money-back guarantee that we can reverse those issues, because we've been sucker punched again, because in the mainstream, therapy is watered down and diluted. So what I would tell people is just go start with the Braveheart Library. Go to braveheartlibrary.com and start with that. And even if you never call us, I promise you, I just gave you more information on an emotional and physical level that will help you and your family. And the reality is here is do not talk about it until you are it. Do not go around telling people. We always go around like salesmen and tell people, and then we can't explain it properly. And the reason why we do that is your subconscious wants you to go and tell people about something so exciting and it's going to change your life, and before you even practice it, so that you're going to screw up because your subconscious doesn't want you to move on. And understand, if you told your family, guess what? There's this program, and all I didn't even change my diet yet. I just changed the way I feel about myself, and I've lost 30 pounds. And your family's going to go, oh, that's so good. Keep it up. Keep it up. And then when your family starts seeing you pull away from them and rise higher and go higher from them, they're not going to do it on purpose or consciously, but they're going to try to undermine you so that you get off of that protocol, so that your beliefs will come back to where theirs are, because you're making them feel uncomfortable, even if it's something that could heal them.
Yeah, right. Misery loves company, doesn't it?
No. Birds of a feather flock together. It's not about misery. Listen, love loves love. Joy loves joy. Misery loves misery. Hate loves hate. And you know what? So you are who you hang around with. So birds of a feather flock together. But here's the deal. Did you ever see turkeys? They gobble, gobble, gobble and complain and explain all day long. And when there's a storm, conflict, they all huddle together, and some of them have a heart attack and die. But guess what? You won't see a whole flock of eagles, will you? You'll see 1 or 2 eagles, because when 2 come together, everything and anything is possible. But you will see an eagle in a storm rise above the storm and ride the wind and just play with it. Okay, and then when the storm's over, then he'll come back down and relax. But a turkey will stay right in the storm and crap its pants or have a heart attack.
Boy, this is quite an education. I've also been, there's a lot of stuff in politics going on with the healthcare system in the U.S. And how much different is it in Canada? Is it somewhat similar as the U.S. or is it better? Because it sucks down here.
Let's put it this way. In the U.S., if you've got money, you get in quicker. In Canada, we pay very little for our healthcare, so you get to wait forever. Okay? But the reality is that let's stop calling it healthcare. It's medical care. So let's stop calling it healthcare, because that is an abomination to do that. because it's not healthcare. So let's just call it medical care. Next thing is I've never used them. I don't use them. I don't know. So, I don't go to them. I don't go to them for x-rays. I don't go to them for blood tests. If I got into an accident, I would. Look at the medical care saved my daughter's life. The medical care have saved many people's lives. But guess what? You ready for this? I'm going to go down on this one. But they've taken more than they've saved.
Yeah.
Right.
So the end of the story is that when you have an emergency, you go to medical care. Don't come to me. I understand that. And guess what? But if you go to medical care and use it as your health care, then you are an emergency.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying too. If I have an accident and break my leg, I'll go see a doctor. Otherwise, I have no use for them.
Yeah, Aage, you know what? It comes down to this. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's right. No.
You know what?
No.
This is not about putting them down either, Aage, and I'm not out to put anybody down. You know what I'm out for? I'm out for the children. I'm out for the people. You know what? Everybody deserves to have freedom, which people don't have. Everybody deserves to have health, which people don't have health. I have health. I could have better health. I know that, and I'm working on it. But actually, like I told you, only, out of 10,000 people, only 1 out of 10,000 are awakened, Aage. And that is an actual fact. 1 out of 10,000 people are awakened to what they really are and what their true potential is and their authentic self. Until you've erased every belief that has been given to you by society, systems, and your parents and everybody else, okay, that doesn't vibrate at that level, at creating the most amazing life, then you're not yourself. You're everybody else.
I've done some research on longevity, and I've found some very old people around the world. In fact, I ran into some newspaper articles and some information about a guy in China that the government verified his age at 256. And when it comes to your book, Healthy to 100, please talk a little bit about that, because us that is a little more mature, I didn't say old, I said mature of age, we should be interested in maybe staying healthy. I don't care about living as long as possible if I'm not healthy and can enjoy life until the end. But Healthy to 100, let's talk a little bit about that, the book. It's a bestseller.
Yeah, well, Healthy to 100 is actually, it is, when we wrote the book, Aage, we wrote the book 3 times, because at the end of the day, what we did is we gave the book to probably about, let me see, I don't know, I would be guessing, because it's been about almost 4 years, but we gave it to around 48-year-olds. And we had 8-year-olds read it as much as they supposed to stop talking.
No. No, I think it's okay now. Yeah.
So anyways, what we did was I think we had around 30 to 48-year-olds read the book. And if they couldn't understand it, we went back and rewrote it. So what we did was we wrote a book that children could understand and doctors can't refute. And you know that I have a show called Doc Star TV and another one called Braveheart Nation that I'm moving on to the Midlands. You know that, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, so what we do is I don't challenge people. I say, come on up, come on my show if anything in here that you would like to challenge me on. So what we've done is we've shown people in a very easy way that there is no diseases, and that every disease that's on this planet, that they can actually take personal action today, and they do have the power to turn around. So the book does more than that. There's things that they can do all the way through the book. We give documentation throughout the book to prove what we're saying, but everything is explained so easy. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just step by step. It's 1, 1 or 2, not 11. And then what we do is we take away all the craziness, like where people say you've got a slip disc. Well, there is no such thing. Where we show that when anybody that has endometriosis, they can reverse it. A doctor will say, well, it's not big enough to operate. We'll just keep an eye on that for you. Well, what does he do? Live behind the toilet or under my bed? He's not going to keep an eye on it for me. He's going to wait until it's big enough that he can go in there and do surgery. So the reality is we show that everything in there can be actually taken care of when you put together the perfect day. And that we do not need medical doctors for absolutely anything except emergency care. And that's the way God designed it. And that's what the book is about.
Yeah, the body is a self-correcting machine if we give it what it needs to rebuild itself.
Well, yeah, and the thing is if I can say something, and if we also just take away what it doesn't need. So, people say, well, Dr. Wolfe, when they come here to do their personal treatment and training, the first thing we do when they come here for a 7-day training is we'll have families come, and even with the children there, and they'll say, well, what's the first thing we need to do as a family? And I said, well, make a list of the things that you need to stop doing right now. Let's go through the list, and we'll go through the list with everyone. What are the habits that you have that are undermining you? What are the things, can you make your home into a loving health zone? Otherwise, can you rub your mind off at the door? Okay. So what I'm saying is can you leave the negativity outside the house, bring love in, and can you make sure that everything that comes into the home is not just non-toxic, but will give life? And if you can do those two things, that is foundational. As long as you're going to bring junk food, GMO food, alcohol, cigarettes, prescription drugs, and cleaning chemicals that are poison, and as long as you're going to leave the Wi-Fi on at night when you go to bed, use microwaves, you know what? We've come to the point that we need to learn how to honor, respect, and protect ourselves, and even inside our homes. So if we're not willing to make sure that we're drinking structured water, we're bathing in structured water, and that we're going to take our power back. Aage, the funniest thing is people will say, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. Those same people will call me up within a month, 2 months, a year, and all of a sudden they've got enough time because they've got too much pain to handle, and they're at the edge. And oh my God, they found the money too. So the money's going somewhere. The problem is that you can only do the therapy that you're capable of doing by the amount of self-love you have for yourself. And you can say, that's not true. And I'll say, okay, well, try to even drag somebody like me into a hospital for some treatment. So understand, the first place that we cannot pick on the medical system, they're not going away. They're not changing. They are going to become more ruthless, and it's not them. It's the pharmaceuticals behind them, which are not human beings, but entities. So they're not going to change. So let's just get over it, right? What we need to do is find things that are going to operate at the level of love, okay? Go into a hospital and then come to my clinic and tell me if you don't feel a different vibration. So understand this. When's the last time you walked into your hospital and somebody greeted you with a hug? So understand something, you're not going to, because the reason why they cannot get close to people is because they're entities. They're not human beings. They're robots.
Yeah, and of course there are corporations which have their first loyalty to the shareholders. So we gotta remember that.
So we have to remember we can realize things, but then we leave them go and we focus on what we can do for our family. And our family is the earth.
Yep.
Everybody here is our family. So what can we do to empower them? So I understand that we have to take a look at what's not right, but we got to make sure that we don't stay there or we're turning off the light. We need to pull people over and tell them what they need to do to create that life that they deserve. But
and let's hang on to that thought. We got to take a break here. So for another 3 minutes, and we'll be right back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we'll be talking to Dr. Wolfe. So hang loose.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on LateNightInTheMidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
Data. The sensors can't penetrate the planet's ionosphere. There's too much interference. Can you find a way to scan for life forms?
I would be happy to, sir. I just love scanning for life forms. Life forms. You tiny little life forms. You precious little life forms. Where are you?
Even the ETs know this is the place to be. L&M Radio Network.
You can listen to the L&M Radio Network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Paranormal Radio app. Available from lnmradionetwork.com or TalkStreamLive.com on both Android and Apple. Our call to listen line is open 24/7. Dial 701-719-9704 so you can listen on the go.
Ever wanted to be sure your robot slave was behaving? Is Echo getting out of control and meeting with Alexa when you're not around? You need RoboGrog. RoboGrog is the new product from Snooze You Lose, the company that also brought you the fine products of Flog a Horse and Calm You Down Now. RoboGrog will put your robotic minions to sleep, bringing their AI a sense of peace and comfort. It does this by sending bolts of electricity straight where the sun doesn't shine. Get RoboGrog today at any fine retailer and set yourself free from the devices that bind you.
You can't just throw someone into prison and silence their warning because you don't agree with them. You don't have to like my methods or what I stand for. Silencing me won't make the problem go away. It will just whittle away at the ability of people to be ready for the real threats. And when the worst happens, and it will, maybe you can take comfort in protecting the people from a dangerous radical who wanted to tell them the truth.
Tired of searching for great talk and great information? Look no more. L&M Radio Network, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Back home, there's a growing pro-Earth movement. Rumors of hate groups targeting aliens. And on all sides, the fanatics. think that society has to be protected against anyone who's different. I'm starting to wonder if what we just saw is a preview of things to come.
No, I can't believe we'd be that foolish.
Santayana. Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
Hello, hello. We're back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we're talking with Dr. Darrell Wolfe here, and he just got back in the chair. And we were talking before about longevity a little bit, and I know there's some new things coming on the horizon with that now. One of them is the C60, and you probably know about some of that. And then again, we have my impression of aging and why it happens in the first place is that the telomeres at the end of the chromosomes are being shorter and shorter to the point where they can no longer keep the chromosomes together, so they start fraying and the cells are not able to replicate themselves. But if we have enough of this enzyme called telomerase in the body, then the telomeres will not shorten, so that we may not get older as fast. What is your impression of all this? Because I've been quite involved in this.
I think you're right on the money. And there is nutritionals that will help to stimulate it. But also research is showing that attitude is really affecting these telomeres. So, I mean, it's like this. We're going to have trouble with this, and it's going to be a lot to do with GMOs. It's going to have a lot to do with Roundup, because people don't realize the damage of Roundup and how much Roundup is being used. It's a pesticide. It's the worst one that there is, and it's being used on almost all inorganic crops. And when you do that, the Roundup opens up your cells to every other chemical, and it allows everything to flood in. And, they will tell you that they use Roundup to make the crops last longer, but actually it's just an evil plot, just like so many other things that, look, if something's not bad for you and it creates any kind of risk, I mean, anything that's good for you is good for you. When something is questionable that it could be bad for you, then we know that there's something that behind the scenes that is corrupt about it. So, but as far as the telomeres goes, you're absolutely right. And that's another science that is a beautiful one, and people should really keep up with that. But you were right on the money, Aage.
Yeah, and I read the papers submitted to the Nobel Committee in 2009, and in there is one statement that jumped out to me, and it said, I have to paraphrase because I don't have it in front of me, but it said that if people had enough of the enzyme telomerase in their body, there is no reason why anyone would have to die from old age anymore. And that was powerful, and that's why I wrote about that in one of my books, where I explain exactly what I'm doing. And I've been doing this now for about 2 years, and I'm 72, and I've been accused actually very severely of being about 55 or something like that. So I think I'm doing all right with it.
Well, I'd say that you've got a handle on it, and people need to listen to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got another thought for you, and that is that, we see different therapies that is coming online, but they're not in the mainstream medicine. And can you talk maybe a little bit about what will healthcare, not the disease management system that we have, but the healthcare, what will it be like in the future? What do you think, new therapies, light therapies and things like that, what do you think is coming?
Well, it's already here. So it's not coming. It's already here. We use what's called bioptron light therapy, and we use what's called a pure lens, which will, that is like, I couldn't even tell you how amazing it is. It can go in. Okay, if I can back up just a little bit. Remember when I said that we're light energy beings? Well, the thing is that we're light energy beings. And why should you eat fresh and raw? Well, you eat fresh and raw because you're trying to capture as much light from the food as possible, because processed food absolutely has no light. It's dark. Okay. It's dark in the way that the vibration is very low. There's no trapped light in it. Okay. So now why should we drink structured water? Because of the light. Why should we hang around with happy people? Because they're lighter. Why should we gently detox every day? That's why I put together my daily cleansing tea almost 20 years ago. Because if you gently detox every day, you lighten the load every day so you don't pile up the toxins to create a 911 emergency. So what's going to happen here, Aage, is everything is going to deal with, if we are going to see in the future, how's this, that you'll have a device that you'll actually go to the grocery store and you'll actually turn this on and put it over top of one tomato, put it over top of another tomato, and it'll tell you how much light is in each of those tomatoes. And you'll actually buy your food by determining which one has the most light in it. Okay.
I already have a device like that.
Well, there you go.
It's called a pendulum.
That's right. And you know what? Dowsing is actually a science, and we know that. But for some people, they even find that hard to swallow. Yeah. So as far as the energy medicine is the future, Einstein said it, Tesla said it, the two smartest men to ever live they said that in the future, we will have to turn to energy medicine because we are frequency beings. And the thing is like I said earlier, everything you eat, everything you drink leaves the body except the frequency. Now, what if you could actually turn on something like even the bioptron light that gives you full spectrum light? And what it does, even this device, it will increase it'll increase your circulation by 47% by only doing it 2 minutes twice a day. And that will last for 24 hours. And that's in your microcirculation. And your microcirculation makes up 74% of your body. And then there's another device, like you've heard of ones like this. It's called an amp coil that we use. And you can you talk in it. And when you talk in it, it does voice recognition. And it can pick up everything from the parasites you have to the bacteria to the chemicals that are in the body. And it rates all your organs. And it will actually, when we do people, they go, my gosh, how did it know that I had an accident like that? How did it know I had brain damage? How did it know? And oh my God, I thought I had those parasites gone. How did it know that I had that bacteria, but there's still a trace of it there? So everything is in your voice. Everything, because it's light, sound, frequency beings. That's what we are. So energy medicine is going to be a really big part. And we tell people that the best thing you can ever do is to bring health home. You can go and get treated, but understand something. You're only good till the next treatment. What you want to do is you want to train yourself to look after yourself so that you don't get mistreated and keep on spending money. We try to teach people, Aage, to buy the equipment, bring it home, and become your own therapist, and then train and treat your family so that you can end the family curse of medical health.
Yeah, and I know that when we go to the grocery store and buy the pretend food and bring it home, and then already poisoned, and because I came back here about a week ago, I bought some tomatoes, and I smelled the iodine right off the tomatoes. And iodine, is a big portion of Roundup. They put iodine in it. So I could, because you can't smell anything else in there, but you can smell the iodine. So it's there. And we eat that. If we don't wash the food, we get the poisons right off the surface of it. And of course, if you cook the food, you kill it. So my question, have you become a vegetarian?
Yes. Well, no, I'm not a vegetarian, because vegetarians, a lot of them, they're not. Well, I wouldn't. Vegetarians, a lot of them, their health is not that great. So, well, I'm more of a whole plant-based diet. So that's what I am. I'm whole plant-based diet.
Oh, yeah.
So understand, vegetarians can eat some really bad stuff. Okay. All right. As long as it's not animal, that gives you a lot to choose from that could be bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing is that we always structure our water. So we have what we call their structure units. There's no moving parts. There's no filters. And just like the rain is structured, why do you think the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees, and even the crops haven't changed in 200 years? They're still as good as ever because the rain is structured, because that which created the universe was smart enough to realize that we were going to try to poison the planet. So even though there might be toxins and heavy metals still in the rain, it does not hurt any living microbes. Nothing. It doesn't hurt them because they're protected. When you change the frequency in the actual water, then even if there's chemicals in there, they cannot harm us. So what we teach everyone to do is to use this structure unit that never wears down, never breaks down, whether they're showering or they're drinking, and they use what's called a natural action structure unit. And what happens is when they put the water through or they put anything through, it actually helps to protect them from that. And we also have everybody spraying their food. So everybody, if you go to a restaurant, we have everybody take a little bottle of structured water, and it's just water, and they spray their food, because as soon as you spray your food with structured water, you protect yourself. And you want to always soak your fruits, vegetables, and food in structured water and baking soda. That is the most amazing purifier of all, if anybody's interested, okay?
Yeah, especially, well, I have been drinking structured water a lot, and now I'm taking baking soda to alkalize the body. I keep it up around 8, and with an alkaline body like that, I don't think I'm going to catch much of what's going on out there.
That's great. And the other thing is for those people that have heartburn, those people that get headaches, those people that have intestinal problems, those people that feel, when you start to feel really stressed out, or you just had an adult temper tantrum, or you're feeling really anxious or anxiety, take a teaspoon of baking soda, put it into 8 ounces of water and drink it, and it'll buffer the acid down right away, and it'll help to stop you from blowing up, okay?
Yeah.
So it'll buffer down the acid. So it'll eliminate heartburn right away. And you could have cramps or pain anywhere in the body. And when you do the baking soda, it's like a miracle. And it just has to be Arm & Hammer. A lot of practitioners are going to tell you that it needs to be certified, but all baking soda is the same. They say that there's aluminum in it, but that's not baking soda. That's baking powder. That's now a marketing ploy by a certain company.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I always look on the label and see what's in it. So that's.
Yeah, but baking soda is baking soda. Yeah. Arm & Hammer is all I buy. And you know what? People are paying $1.50 for a box, maybe less. And they're getting probably, as far as I'm concerned, $1,500 in therapy.
I'm buying it by the 20-pound bag.
Well, hey, I'm going to have to come over to your house and we'll just have a bath in it. We'll have a bath in it, Augie.
Actually, that's a pretty good idea.
It is, except not at the same time, buddy.
Yeah, no, we don't. But let's say that somebody is a little bit older and they start losing muscle. And what is the best way that you know of to rebuild the muscle when, let's say, you're over 50 or 60 or 70?
Gentle exercising and doing anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes in the morning and again at night, and doing core twisting or rebounding with just light weights, and you won't lose it. Rebounding was studied by NASA, and it is the most efficient exercise for cleaning the lymph, cleaning the blood, and exercising every cell in the human body and regaining your tone. Core twisting, you can see it on my website. It's where you stand on this device that we have made, and you core twist, and you have a stick in your hand that you go back and forth, and you're not using your arms or your body to twist. You're only focusing on your core, which is your abdomen. Understand something. If you don't want to lose your muscle tone, then don't lose your core. When your core is on the floor, so is your muscles. End of story. So, and that is the deal. So if you just do light weights, 10 to 20 minutes in the morning and at night, and then I also do foam rolling, but understand something, inflammation is what's killing this nation. And it's in your diet. And the other thing is that older people do not hydrate enough. You know, the average woman should be doing 3 quarts of water, 1.5 quarts by 11, another 1.5 quarts by 4 o'clock. The average man needs 2 quarts by 11, 2 quarts by 4 o'clock. And you really should look at intermittent fasting, where you don't eat after 6 o'clock and you do not eat until around 11 or 12 o'clock. And you can do nutritional drinks and lots of liquid in the morning. But the key is that that's the best time, because that's the fasting period, and your body's going to go in and eat up those mutated cells and those fat cells that it doesn't need, and it'll use that as fuel. And understand this, that, you know, we're talking about 85% of the population are eating 40 to 50% more food than their body needs. And it's usually the wrong food. And they don't know how to food combine. You shouldn't mix starches and proteins or eat fruit with another food, you know? And the older you get, the less you're going to do anything that's dead, because the hydrochloric acid starts to go down and becomes depleted after the age of 25. That's why today you can only eat 1 piece of pizza, which isn't good for you anyway. And you could eat 4 or 5 when you were younger, because the hydrochloric acid in your stomach is weaker. And the hydrochloric acid in your stomach is also the guard dog of the beginning of your digestive tract. And if that's weaker, then the parasites and the viruses and the bacteria have a better chance. And if they get past the stomach, because the acid isn't strong enough to actually neutralize them, then that's when we get ourselves into trouble.
Mm-hmm. I like it. We're getting towards the end of the show here, but give me your opinion on how bad, how bad of a sinner I am in my diet when I don't have the 3 squares. I come about noon is when I first eat anything, and that's usually bread. And then I have a meal in the evening. And I have probably more energy than most people I know, and I've never really been sick. But is there anything in that you think can hurt me in the long run?
Well, okay, first of all, Aage, you're a person that knows himself. That's what's giving you your energy. When you're trying to, when you're being everybody else, like, you know, the nice guy, he's always exhausted, but everybody says he's nice. And then everybody ends up saying, oh my gosh, he was so nice. Why'd he die so early? And I'm not saying you're not a nice person, but you are a nice person, but you will not do anything that you don't believe that's good for you, which there is the first and most important key. Let me tell you something. There's some really feisty, miserable people that live to 130 years old, my friend, and even older. But the thing is they know who they are. Okay? So if you know who you are, and if you live in gratitude, which I know you do, you know, for me, I would never start with bread, because my intestines got wiped out when I was younger. And also, if I was going to do bread, it would have to be ancient grains. And I really do have a sensitivity to gluten, because we never did before, but then all the grains are GMO'd, or they're hybrids, or they've just had so much chemicals on them, they've lost their integrity. So things have changed. Yeah. So, you know, if you're going to start with bread, you can, but, you know, everybody's different. I mean, I will, as soon as I'm finished here, it will be about 12:30. And what I'm going to do is go downstairs. I'm going to get some organic strawberries. We make our own almond milk, and I'm going to put that together, and I'm going to use what's called core plant protein, which I put all my patients on, Aage, which has moringa in it. And then I'm going to put in a 1 raw egg, and then I'm going to make about 20 ounces of that. And that's what I do to open up, and that's the first thing I do. Now, at around 1 or 1:30, I'm going to do a beautiful salad, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, tonight we're going out to a restaurant, and it's a Mediterranean Italian. Everybody's going to eat a big meal with pasta and maybe sausage or who knows. And I'm going to find out what their best soup is and their salad, and I'm going to just maintain my energy, because we all know we're not used to it. We'll go out and eat things that aren't good for us or overdo us, and then we lose our energy. We just don't know it because that's the way we live now. You don't know you're tired because, you know, just like sands of grain, they trickle away slowly. And you go, somebody says, how do you feel? Oh, I feel good. Well, do you feel great? Try to remember when 10 years ago how you felt, you know? So I think you're right on track. And I know that not everybody's the same. If you find that bread's the way that you like to start, you know, I would never tell my patients to do that. But the thing is, if it works for you, it definitely, I know you're eating good bread. I know it's not toxic. And look at all the other things you're doing. You know, nobody has to have the perfect diet. It's just that, honestly, if people were to really take a look at their diet, I mean, almost everybody eats cheese, and cheese causes cancer. Everybody eats cheese, and it creates all the autoimmune diseases, which there's over 85 of them, and almost any disease you want to mention. I mean, cheese inflames the brain. It's concentrated liquid snot. That's what it is. It's pus. And people don't even know it. I mean, this whole eating dairy thing, why do you think that McDonald's has just added 10 to 20%, depending on what they can get away with? They wanted to add 20% more dairy to all their foods. And guess what? They're being bought off to do it. They're not doing it for the good of us. They've been bought off to add more and then just add it to the cost of what they're selling. So, Aage, you're making beautiful choices, but that's because you're vibrating at a level that you're going, you know what? It's okay that I love myself. It's okay that I honor myself. And though everybody around me might be doing something different, it doesn't make it right. I'm going to do something that makes me feel good.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for what time you have left, would you talk a little bit about your TV shows and the radio shows that you have gone, the TV shows that you've been doing for quite a while, and where can we find to watch some of those?
Well, if people go to Doc of Detox, and then they go up into the bar, the menu at the top, they can go to Doc Star TV. And that's where I have all my TV shows. And I even have I did a series, it was called Scary Dairy. I also interview Dr. Tony Jimenez from the Hope for Cancer Clinic, and we do a Q&A once a month on Wednesday, every month, for people all around the world with cancer questions. And then I have another show that's called Pet Star, because believe it or not, we make our pets sick when we're sick, and we also make them sick because we make them eat the processed foods that we eat. So it's really important that we keep ourselves healthy and our pets healthy, and that's called Pet Star. And then I do my own show, which is Doc Star, where I'll pick different topics, and then we go through the show, and then at the end, we open up for Q&A, live Q&A for people to call in. And then on every second Tuesday at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., and it'll be this coming Tuesday, we open up what's called Braveheart Nation, where it's mainly emotional questions from everything from addiction to divorce to depression to just being frustrated with life or your children or your husband. And I try to answer everybody's questions. It's a live call-in show. And then, as you know, I'm starting and moving Braveheart Nation Radio to the same platform we're on today. And I'll be doing it on Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to start. And then we'll find out if people like me enough, I'll do it more often. And if they don't, well, I guess I'll just do that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. That was a good choice on your part, because we're having a blast here on this station and we're getting to a lot of people. So you're going to have the chance to educate a bunch of people. And what other advice would you like to give to people? The last words before we go off the air, and what would you have the floor? Just please enlighten us with it, whatever you have.
Thank you. I don't know what your beliefs are, but, you know, for me, I believe I was created by that which created the universe. And I know I'm in a physical body that has some of its limitations, but we're only really truly limited on what we can create down here by our beliefs. And you need to understand something. If you're suffering today, it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're being punished by God. Okay? You're just being punished by dysfunctional beliefs that you don't own and you don't deserve them. So stop saying you don't deserve it, and stop saying I don't deserve love, and that life is hard, and that, you know what, I'm never going to get out of this. You know, what you repeat, you become. Learn that repetition's the key. And if you can, get yourself to go to braveheartlibrary.com, start there. And then if you want to take it further, we're here for you. But understand something. You deserve all the love in the world, all the health in the world, all the financial abundance in the world. There is no lack. There's just lack in your thinking. And you got it from other people. And we must erase and replace that. And just know that until you believe that you deserve something, you're never going to allow it to come. And that's it right there. The universe is just waiting to give you all the gifts that you want. But first, you must what? You must honor, trust, okay, respect, protect, forgive, and love yourself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else. So help you God, because you can. And that's the reality. And you've been taught not to love yourself. You've been taught to play love ransom. And you're waiting for the world to come to your rescue. You're waiting for your family to fill up your empty heart. And that's not smart. So just embrace yourself and know that you are beautiful and you can have anything you want. And this is not some BS line that I'm giving you. And if you believe that that's what I'm doing, then your subconscious just took you for another ride.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll tell you, though, since quantum mechanics has proven that we live in a mind-created universe, so it makes perfect sense when you say that what we allow to dwell in our mind the most is what we are going to have in our lives.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much. And I would love to have you back sometime.
And I would love to have you on my show.
Oh, I'll love to be there. We'll find some good things to talk about.
Diana,
yes.
I just want to thank you for being on the show, because we always need feminine. We need feminine more than we need some of the other things that we've got going on. And I want to thank you for being on the show with us today. And Aage, I want to thank you for having me. And I mean that. It was a really honor to be on your show.
Yeah, and you probably know that the show is normally 1 hour, and I think we have used up just about 2 hours here. So, and that is because that you did most of the talking, because I have learned that when I am among excellence, I keep my trap shut and I listen.
Well, I want to thank you for that, but just know this, that my greatest teachers are my patients.
Yeah.
And teach me patience. And you know what? And that's what we need. We need patience and compassion if we're going to help this Earth family of ours.
Yeah. And there's many of us that is yet to wake up, but there's people are waking up in hordes.
Yes, they are, sir.
Thank to you and many others. So we thank you all. We love the listeners out there, and come on back next week, and we'll do another show for you where we'll try to educate you and amaze you again. So thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Wolfe. We will talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Aage, and thank you, Diana, and thank you, everybody behind the scenes.
Yes.